Chapter 14, Mental Gender. The masculine principle of mind corresponds to the so-called objective mind, conscious mind, voluntary mind, active mind, etc. And the feminine principle of mind corresponds to the so-called subjective mind, subconscious mind, involuntary mind, passive mind, etc. We as humans have a conscious and a subconscious. We have the conscious energy, which is our will being put out into the world, and the subconscious is considered how we take in the information around us and our reaction to things. This chapter describes how these different states of consciousness relate to the idea of gender, in that the conscious is us actively doing things, the divine masculine half of our conscious, and how our reaction to things, the way that we receive information, is the divine feminine counterpart to it. I personally believe that you need both energies in order to live holistically and balanced in this physical world, although the masculine has a tendency to dominate over the feminine, and it can be very unhealthy, but it doesn't always have to be. If we acted only on our masculine principle and only followed the conscious will, then we would have no emotion. We would have no connection. It would be very cold and lifeless. If we followed only our subconscious, then our emotions would run us, and we would only be doing things based on reactions and instincts instead of using our free will. This is why both need to be used together properly in order to find success in our world and to follow what our true will is, to make the conscious decision to follow our instincts in a reasonable way. This chapter talks about how there is a transcendental self and an ego self. My understanding of the ego is that it is who we think we are based on our experiences and in the skin and body that we live in. It is a lot of our personality attached to who we think we are and the person that we want to and strive to be. Then there is the self that lives beyond the ego. I personally believe that all humans are connected in some way, and we are put into different bodies having an ego for a reason, but beyond this, we are all connected and we're all genuinely one as a human race. Beyond our ego, we have that soul, that divine self that exists within us. That is our consciousness. That is the person who's watching this, regardless of who they think they are at the moment. This chapter talks about how the divine feminine aspect receives impressions and how the divine masculine aspect gives out impressions. You could say that right now I'm using my divine masculine principle by creating a video and speaking out loud, and you are using your divine feminine principle by watching this video and receiving this information. I do not know what's going on in your mind or what your thought process looks like, but you are reacting to what I am saying, and so there must be a thought process occurring. It is this interplay between the divine masculine, the one who creates and who puts out into the world, and the divine feminine, the one who receives information and thinks about it and then creates something with it. That is how new things are created in this world. Natural leaders and people who are very charismatic are using their divine masculine principle because they're planting seeds and they're creating ideas for those who decide to follow them. This can be used to influence or manipulate people based on the intentions of the one who's giving out this information, the one who is expressing themselves. The way that influence and manipulation often works is by appealing to our emotions in some way, whether that is through fear, anger, from the negative sides, or by enticing them with positives, with the promise of something that they want or that they desire, or giving them that desire to begin with. Understanding this interplay between humans, between the divine masculine of creating thoughts and asking and speaking, and the divine feminine principle of receiving the information and thinking about it, helps us understand each other and the world that we live in, to understand the media that we are feeding to ourselves, and to really take a look at the way things are being fitted for us as consumers. To those of you who are artists, we create new things because we are inspired by the world around us. We are using our receptive energy to take in the world around us or the art that other people has produced in order to fuel our works, in order to express ourselves in a way that is preferable to us, and hopefully the art that we produce inspires others to create for themselves.